You're watching News 3 This Morning, Weekend Edition with Ronnie LaForge and meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Good morning. It is 6 o'clock on your Saturday. Coming up, I'll have your local news, but first, Ashley Smith is in for Rachel this weekend. Let's check in with her for a look at today's forecast. Ashley, how's it looking out there?
Yeah, it is going to be an almost perfect day. We expect lots of sunshine. Temperatures a little warmer than yesterday. Still pretty comfortable, though. It's not going to be too hot, but we are going to start a warming trend over the next several days. Right now, temperatures in the 40s and 50s, a bit of a chill in the air and definitely cooler than the past couple mornings. 47 degrees in Mount Vernon, 49 degrees right now in Marion, Paducah at 52, and Cape Girardeau 51 degrees. Temperatures by this afternoon will climb up into the mid 70s, right around normal for this time of year with just a few high clouds later on this afternoon. Winds today out of the northeast about 5 to 10 miles an hour, a high today of 76. As I mentioned, though, it's going to get even warmer than that. We'll talk more about your Mother's Day forecast and a look ahead to next week, too, coming up. For now, back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. In Illinois politics this morning, lawmakers could be closer to reaching a budget agreement, but it's likely going to cost you. State income taxes could be going up, but as News 3's Brandon Richards shows us, there's some good news for SIU.
As Illinois lawmakers work to reach a budget agreement, we've learned what might be part of the final deal. State Senator Paul Schimpf says the state income tax could be increased from 3.75% to 4.9%.
Looks like that is something that is going to be part of whatever deal is reached. I know there's some disagreement, but there seems to be consensus that there has to be some type of new revenue included in this deal.
But Schimpf says any plan to raise taxes must be paired with spending cuts.
We need to have perhaps a 10% haircut type approach everywhere that we can make some cuts. I would also like to see some consolidation.
Schimpf says he'd like to see the lieutenant governor's office abolished and the comptroller and treasurer's office consolidated. And he says there's good news for financially struggling schools like SIU.
I'm confident that by the end of May, we are going to be able to get some funding out the door.
Schimpf wouldn't provide any specifics, but says he's been told money for higher ed is happening one way or another. Brandon Richard, News 3.
Legislators did not address the so-called grand bargain budget deal this week. Some believe the package will end the state's 22-month-long budget impasse. The legislative session ends on May 31st. Democratic candidate for governor J.B. Pritzker made another stop in Southern Illinois this week. Friday, he toured SIU's Small Business Development Center in Carbondale to get a close-up look at the work entrepreneurs are doing. Pritzker blames what he calls Governor Rauner's failures for the center coming close to shutting down. He says if he is elected, SIU would be fully funded and places like the Small Business Center would be strengthened.
I happen to think that Southern Illinois has been forgotten by so many politicians, and it should be front and center.
Pritzker says he believes strongly in bringing more business to the area. He also attended a private event in Murfreesboro. To the court watch now. After a 3-day trial, a Saline County jury found Brian Burns guilty of trying to kidnap the county's top prosecutor. It took just 2 hours of deliberation for jurors to find Burns guilty of all 3 counts he faced. Recordings from a cellmate laid out through code words how Burns planned to have someone kidnap Mike Henshaw in hopes of getting his murder charges dropped. Burns is accused of killing his wife Carla and burning her body. He will be back in court next week for a pretrial in that case. Burns will be sentenced for the attempted kidnapping in July. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is urging federal prosecutors to get tougher on criminals.
It's not our privileged communities that suffer the most from crime and violence. Regardless of wealth or race, every American has a right to demand to live in a safe neighborhood.
Sessions laid out new, stricter guidelines on sentencing. He says it will make our streets safer, but opponents argue it will lead to unnecessarily long prison stays for nonviolent offenders, especially when it comes to drug crimes. Former AG Eric Holder says the move is not tough, but rather dumb on crime. President Donald Trump took to Twitter to continue to bash former FBI Director James Comey. And as Kristen Holmes reports, more questions are emerging about what led to Comey's dismissal.
As I mentioned, the president has nothing further to add on that.
The White House once again defending President Trump's tweets.
The tweet speaks for itself. I'm moving on. John.
The president publicly threatening former FBI Director James Comey, whom he fired earlier this week, tweeting, "James Comey better hope there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press," warning Comey to stay silent.
I don't think that's not a threat. He's simply stated a fact. The tweet speaks for itself. I'm moving on.
But a source telling CNN that Comey is not concerned about any tapes. Comey's abrupt firing shocked Washington and left the administration scrambling to manage the message.
President Trump made the right decision at the right time, and to accept the recommendation of the Deputy Attorney General.
He took the recommendation of his Deputy Attorney General.
Accordingly, the President accepted the recommendation of his Deputy Attorney General.
Before President Trump gave this explanation.
Oh, I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really
His tweet also raising red flags on whether or not President Trump is secretly recording conversations, drawing parallels to President Nixon.
Does anyone in this White House have an audio recording of what unfolded during the January 27th dinner between the former FBI director and the President of the United States?
I'm not aware of that.
In Washington, I'm Kristen Holmes.
Comey's firing has renewed calls for impeachment hearings against President Trump. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois says while that may be premature, he still has concerns.
I think it's too soon to use that word, but I will tell you what the president is doing when it comes to obstruction of justice is a chapter in history we have seen before. In 1973 in October, when Richard Nixon as president was being investigated for the Watergate scandal.
Now here's a live look over Harrisburg. Ashley, what kind of weather do we have to look forward to today?
Well, right now we're seeing a little bit of fog, especially in those low-lying valley spots there in Harrisburg from SIC. However, with the sunshine and that sun already up early this morning, that will help to burn off that fog. It's going to be a very pleasant day, too. We'll talk more about it coming up next.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 Weather.
Well, we are experiencing a warming trend throughout the next couple of days. Yesterday, temperatures were only around 70 degrees for many of us. Today, we're going to be warmer than that. And over the next couple of days, that warming trend will continue. What's happening is there's a ridge to our west. And what that's going to bring us is, of course, those above normal temperatures eventually. Today will be right on par for normal for this time of year. And that's because we're kind of in this transition period. Slightly cooler air is going to push to the east. The above normal air going to move over top of us over the next couple of days, giving us temperatures that are going to eventually be into the mid 80s sometime next week. So that's something to look forward to. If you don't like the cooler air, which it is cool early this morning, good day to get outside, good morning to get outside early, get some of those outdoor chores done, maybe go for a run or jog because temperatures are going to be very comfortable. 47 degrees right now in Mount Vernon, 49 in Marion, 52 degrees in Paducah. Temperatures across the midsection of the country very similar. So that shows us with no kind of large temperature gradient, there's no major systems moving through either. So we expect to stay dry for the next several days too. 51 in both Springfield and St. Louis right now. Nashville at 60 degrees. And again, on radar, not much going on across the midsection of the country. All of the rain that we saw earlier this week has already pushed off to the east, and that's where it's going to stay. We expect our next chance for rain to not arrive until the middle to perhaps even the end of next week. So we still have quite a while until we see any of that precipitation. Temperatures for today eventually climbing into the mid 70s by this afternoon. Skycast is very quiet. Not only do we not see any kind of precipitation, hardly any clouds either, and the winds are going to be pretty light today out of the northeast, eventually switching to the west and southwest by tomorrow. What's going to happen is that ridge moves just to our south, so that allows the winds to switch to the south and southwest tomorrow, pull in some warmer air. So tomorrow morning will be a lot warmer than where we are right now. Likely temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. So high pressure to the south shifts to the east tomorrow. And again, winds out of the southwest going to pull in that warmer air. Now Monday also going to be dry and also going to be mostly sunny. We expect actually those sunny conditions to continue throughout the first portion of this coming week and even into perhaps Tuesday and Wednesday before we start to see the clouds increase along with that chance for rain. So Monday we stay dry all day long. A few clouds starting to increase, especially during the afternoon and evening hours, but overall still very pleasant weather expected to start the week. Now we'll look ahead to Tuesday, and that's when we really start to warm things up. Temperatures will climb into the mid 80s around here, and it looks like we're still going to stay dry, but with that warmth and moisture eventually we'll see that chance for storms. Looks like that will hold off until probably Thursday. Temperatures this afternoon just a little bit above normal in the mid 70s. Overnight lows dropping down into the mid 50s by tomorrow morning, so a little warmer than where we are right now. Tomorrow afternoon will be in the low 80s. Lots of sunshine for Mother's Day. A little warmer Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday with highs in the mid 80s. By Wednesday, we will start to increase the clouds, turning partly cloudy, but still staying dry. The only problem with Thursday, I know that Marion High School has their graduation, and usually it's at Rent One Park, of course, weather permitting. So we'll keep an eye on that. But the rest of the week looks almost perfect.
I was just going to say, I feel like I haven't seen in the forecast sun. It just looks beautiful.
Yeah, no chances for precipitation on any 5 days. That hasn't happened for a long time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ashley. Several roads have opened after recent flooding, but there are still plenty of roads too dangerous to cross. Emergency officials say too many people are dying on those flooded roadways. Since 2011, nearly 600 people have died in floods here in the U.S. 61% of those deaths happened in vehicles. A Saline County man died last week after driving his car onto a flooded roadway, and 5 people in Missouri died last week in their cars. Experts say people ignore road closed signs or think waters are shallow enough to cross. They urge you to remember the phrase, turn around, don't drown. A massive cyber attack hitting dozens and dozens of countries around the world this weekend. The hackers held computer data for ransom at hospitals, telecommunication firms, and other companies. As ABC's Chuck Silverstein reports, experts suspect the job got done using tools stolen from America's national security team.
Tens of thousands. Chuck Severson, ABC News, New York.
We're going to take a quick break, but
putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
Temperatures right now are in the 40s and 50s. It is a cool start to the day with calm winds and mainly clear skies. Later on this evening with clear skies. Ronnie?
Thanks, Ashley. A deadly attack at a nursing home in Ohio. A police chief shot and killed. 2 workers at the home are also dead after rushing residents to safety. ABC's Eva Pilgrim has the latest.
Police in Crookersville, Ohio are in. Eva Pilgrim, ABC News, New York.
A triple shooting in Kansas City, Missouri yesterday. One of those shots, a toddler who has died. The child is thought to be 2 years old. Police say the victims arrived at a hospital with gunshot wounds. 2 of them adults with non-life-threatening injuries. Police found what they believe is a crime scene. A resident in the neighborhood said everybody just lives their life like nothing happened, like a shooting. News 3 this morning. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
For breaking news and weather anytime, News 3 is always on at WSILTV.com, on your mobile device and social media.
You've worked hard all week, and it's time to treat yourself to a sweet and savory treat with cinnamon and a flaky crust. If the thought of a huge apple pie gets your taste buds going, you're right in time. Today is National Apple Pie Day. Before the 1900s, apple pies were considered breakfast food and only served cold. Now it's been dubbed America's favorite dessert and is topped with fresh whipped cream, ice cream, or cheddar cheese. Thanks for joining us bright and early this morning. We have a whole lot more news and weather to come. That starts right now. You're watching News 3 This Morning.
You're watching News 3 This Morning, Weekend Edition with Ronnie LaForge and meteorologist Rachel Dunsing.
Good morning again. Thanks for waking up with us here on News 3. Coming up, I'll have more local news, but first let's check in with Ashley in the Weather Center for a look at today's forecast. Ashley, many of us are crossing our fingers for sunny skies. Are we in luck?
Yes, definitely going to be very sunny today. I think you can leave the umbrella at home and grab the sunglasses because today is going to be very sunny and warmer too. Very comfortable conditions as you step outside this morning. A little bit of a chill in the air with temperatures in the 40s and 50s. 53 right now in Du Quoin and Christopher, 49 degrees in Harrisburg, Carbondale at 52 with mainly calm winds. Not only will we see that sunshine today, but temperatures climbing into the mid 70s with low dew points. So the humidity is going to be rather comfortable and low throughout the rest of the day today. So if you are outside, I think you'll notice that a big difference over the past several days. Temperatures in the low 70s by noon, a high today of 76 with winds out of the north-northeast. We'll talk more about a warming trend headed our way. Temperatures returning to the 80s by next week. Those details coming up. Now back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. A drag racing crash in Benton last night sent 1 man to the hospital by helicopter. The West City Fire Department was called to a drag strip to a report of racing. The car was traveling at high speeds and went into some trees. The fire department had to cut the driver out of the car. The victim was airlifted from the scene, conscious and alert. A scary ride home for some students in West Frankfort when a car collided with their school bus yesterday afternoon. A viewer sent us these photos from the scene on 7th Street. Officials at the fire department tell News 3 just a handful of students were on board. No one on the bus got hurt. The SUV involved was totaled, but the driver was okay. McCracken County Police arrested 4 people on multiple charges. 42-year-old Brandy Stevens was charged with trafficking while on parole, possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia along with prescription drugs. Rachel Corsi, Mark Holmes, and Emma Wadley also face possession of drug paraphernalia and meth charges. All are being held in McCracken County Jail. A warrant raid in Wayne County ended with 2 people in jail. Chelsea Wood and Aaron Webb face preliminary charges of possession of methamphetamine. Webb also had multiple outstanding warrants stemming from a 2013 aggravated battery case. Both are in the Wayne County Jail this morning. In Pope County, Sheriff Jerry Suits needs your help finding this stolen tractor. A contractor who mows for a rural electric company had this tractor and Bones cutter mower stolen this week. It was last seen Wednesday night near Highway 146 and the Pope-Hardin County line. If you saw anything suspicious, call the Pope County Sheriff's Office. Also in Perry County, a tractor trailer shut down part of Route 4 Thursday for 5 hours. It happened around 4:30 at Pyatt Cutler Road. State police say a juvenile headed south drifted over the center line and hit the semi head on. Both vehicles ended up in opposite ditches. A medical helicopter flew the juvenile to a St. Louis hospital. The victim's identity and condition have not been released. At least 1 person is dead after a small plane crash in western Kentucky. It happened in this wooded area northwest of Hopkinsville in Christian County. Emergency responders haven't said how many people were on board. Some reports say there were multiple fatalities. Investigators still don't know what caused the crash. The NTSB and FAA were seen investigating the crash. A special fish is trying to make its way back into Williamson County and across Illinois. The State Department of Natural Resources is working to reintroduce the alligator gar into Illinois waters. The fish is prevalent today throughout the southeast, but hasn't been documented in southern Illinois since 1966. The project to re-inhabit the area started in 2009 with little success because females take 11 years to mature. The main area that has been stocked is the lower Kaskaskia River. A revised management plan recently released by the IDNR names the Big Muddy, Cache, and Wabash rivers, along with the Mississippi and the Ohio rivers, as possible areas for stocking.
We're actually trying to put them in the backwater. Those are those lakes that form along the sides of rivers. We put them in there thinking, well, at 12 inches, thinking maybe they'll get the chance to grow for a couple of 3 years, and then if the water comes up, they can escape.
Dan Stevenson, Division Chief of Fisheries for IDNR, says dietary studies show gizzard shad make up 95% of the alligator's gar's diet. So unfortunately, the fish won't have much of an impact on the invasive Asian carp populations. Imagine walking 4,000 miles coast to coast. Well, an 11-year-old Florida boy is doing just that with the help of his family. As News 3's Colin Dorsey shows us, the boy is taking strides through Saline County this weekend in hopes of helping other kids just like him.
In Saline County, Colin Dorsey, News 3.
Making news in Illinois politics this morning, lawmakers could be closer to reaching a budget agreement, but it's likely going to cost you. State income taxes could be going up. State Senator Paul Schimpf told News 3 that a possible state income tax increase could be in the final deal. Schimpf said that with the new revenue coming in, there has to be some cuts to balance that out, and he would like to see some government agencies as some of those cuts and consolidations.
We need to have perhaps a 10% haircut type approach everywhere that we can make some cuts. I would also like to see some consolidation.
Senator Schimpf would not provide any specifics, but he said that funding for higher education like SIU is definitely happening one way or another. Democratic candidate for governor J.B. Pritzker made another stop in southern Illinois. He toured SIU's Small Business Development Center in Carbondale Friday to get a close-up look at the work entrepreneurs are doing. Pritzker blames what he calls Governor Rauner's failures for the center coming close to shutting down. He says if he is elected, SIU would be fully funded and places like the Small Business Center would be strengthened.
I happen to think that Southern Illinois has been forgotten by so many politicians, and it should be front and center.
Pritzker says he believes strongly in bringing more business to the area. He also attended a private event in Murfreesboro while in town. A live look over Marion. Ashley, it looks beautiful out there. What's in store for us?
Yes, it is a very gorgeous start to the day and pretty comfortable out there. I think some lawnmowers probably going to be buzzing today after we're finally going to see an end to the rain, at least for a little while. We'll talk more about the dry and warmer weather headed our way coming up next.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
Temperatures this morning are in the 40s and 50s with rather calm winds. Lots of sunshine too. Rain. So, of course, on Thursday, also a sneak peek, we will, or a little bit of a tease, I guess, we'll be at the Kroger there in Marion on Thursday to program those weather radios 4 to 8 p.m. And that's the last one of this season. So we hope to see everyone there.
And the Carbondale one wasn't that busy, so we're hoping more people will come out for this next one.
Exactly. Or maybe they've already gotten their weather radios, which is fine. But either way, if you haven't yet, come to Marion.
Okay. Thank you, Ashley. A tornado surprised drivers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on their morning commute yesterday as it touched down just north of Interstate 12. At least one person was injured when their vehicle was picked up and thrown into a gas station. Residents in Iberville Parish say the whole ordeal only lasted 20 seconds, but it was the scariest 20 seconds of their life. Firefighters are making their rounds today to assess the damage. Meantime, a pleasant surprise for drivers around Atlanta Friday as Interstate 85 northbound reopened. Crews have been working around the clock since March 30th to repair an overpass bridge that collapsed during a fire. The southbound lanes of Interstate 85 are still shut down, but they are expected to be open sometime this weekend. The repair of the interstate bridge may have broken some records by being torn down and rebuilt in just 6 weeks. Lawyers suing Wells Fargo on behalf of customers say the bank may have opened about 3.5 million unauthorized accounts. That is significantly more than 2 million the bank and regulators disclosed last year. Lawyers believe this has been going on for about 15 years. They included a new estimate in a court filing asking a judge to approve a $142 million settlement. A judge is ordering Philadelphia's district attorney to charge engineer Brandon Bostian in the 2015 Amtrak derailment. 8 people died and hundreds of others were injured in that crash. The DA's office announced after a long investigation, enough evidence was found to bring charges. The judge made her ordeal to involuntary manslaughter and reckless endangerment. We're going to take a quick break, but that'll give you the chance to follow me on Facebook. You can find me by searching Ronnie LaForge, WSIL TV, for all the very latest on your local news. On this morning's Consumer Watch, Fiat Chrysler is recalling more than 1 million Dodge Ram pickup trucks. The company says a software glitch can cause seatbelts and airbags to not work properly during a crash. In a rollover crash, side airbags may not deploy and seatbelts could tighten on the people inside. At least one death is blamed on the glitch. 2013 to 2016 Ram 15 and 2500s are part of the recall, along with 2014 to 2016 Ram 3500s. We're in the middle of what some experts call a retail revolution. Brick and mortar stores that used to be staples for shoppers are making big changes to try and win back customers who are spending more money online. To compete with online retailers like Amazon, your favorite stores like Walmart and Target are adding new experiences, more convenience and super savings to get you in the door. They're trying to make it more fun and as easy as shopping online. Both Target and Walmart have also been testing a drive-up service for those who really don't want to get out and shop. Americans spend an estimated $24 billion on Mother's Day gifts, a new warning from some of the country's biggest retailers about online scams disguised as deals. Here's ABC's Lindsay Janis.
When shopping for
ABC News, New York.
We'll have another check on weather and a look at this week's unsung hero when we come back. Stay with us.
Putting accuracy first, this is News 3 weather.
Temperatures right now are in the 50s with calm winds and mainly clear skies. A little bit of patchy fog, especially in some of the expected tonight. So another cool start to the day tomorrow with calm winds. And now to your unsung hero. A Jefferson County woman, she is a teacher, is honored for going the extra mile as a first grade teacher. This past year has provided additional challenges for the teacher as well as her students. Here's a look inside her classroom in this week's Unsung Hero.
Okay, you need to use your thinking clouds on that one.
Now, Carrie received money along with her award. She's going to donate that money to Anil's family. So last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, so it worked out. I didn't even know that. So
it doesn't surprise me that she has such a big heart because obviously she's a teacher. That's why she went into it.
Especially with those little kids. They are precious. They were so sweet when I got to meet them.
Thank you, Ashley. We'll have one more check on weather when we come back. Last night was the perfect night to spend at Rent One Ballpark for the Southern Illinois Miners season opener. Fans can now get a lot more than just a good game at the ballpark with new attractions like this mini golf course. And there's another game tonight. So what's the weather going to be like for the people headed out there?
Picture perfect, much like last night. You can see there was lots of sunshine at that game last night, and they can expect similar conditions today. Temperatures this morning already starting off in the 40s and 50s. Will be in the upper 60s by 9 o'clock. 70s this afternoon with a high today of 76. And there's your forecast for tonight. So mostly sunny at first pitch, falling back into the 50s later this evening.
All right, thank you. That wraps up News 3 this morning. Good Morning America is up next. Have a great day.